In an exclusive conversation with WION World is One, the Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid has said that his organization wants good relations with all its neighboring countries, including India, and will protect the Chabahar port since it is beneficial for Afghanistan. The Taliban spokesperson told WION World is One that it wants India to play a healthy and positive role in Afghanistan based on the need of the Afghans. Mujahid said that the organization will ensure that fundamental rights are guaranteed to all the Hindus and Sikhs living in Afghanistan. Mujahid was also positive about the Chabahar port and said the Taliban values all economic projects and is committed to supporting all projects that are fruitful to Afghanistan. Taliban spokesperson also saying that the United States has shown readiness to leave Afghanistan and a meeting has been scheduled for the 25th of February to finalize the peace agreement with Washington. Mujahid also ruled out the involvement of a third party in its peace talks with the United States. India had earlier welcomed the Afghanistan peace talks and had said that New Delhi will participate in all formats of the talks, which could bring peace and security in Afghanistan.
See, we are very closely following the developments related to peace and reconciliation efforts in Afghanistan, which have been undertaken by different stakeholders. India supports efforts which can achieve an inclusive political settlement. In this context, it is important that the presidential election in Afghanistan takes place as per the schedule. We continue to support an Afghan-owned, Afghan-led and Afghan-controlled process. We also feel that for enduring peace and stability in Afghanistan, the terrorist safe havens and sanctuaries need to be eliminated. We will participate in all formats of talks which could bring about peace and security in that region.
The first interview to any Indian news outlet, the Taliban spokesperson spoke on various issues, whether it's ties with India, whether it's the Chabahar port, or whether it's the situation of minorities in the landlocked country. He spoke on India. He said he wants to have good ties. The Taliban wants to have good ties with the regional countries. And on Chabahar, he said the group is supportive of the project, saying that they will be protecting it, supporting it, because it's important for the economic development of Afghanistan. And on minorities, the Hindus and the Sikhs, he said that they are like any other Afghans and they have rights. But remember, in the earlier tenure of the Taliban regime in 1990s, they were in a very terrible position and they were asked to wear the yellow band, so they were given that inferior status. Also, we have seen that how India has been reacting to the development, saying that it's keenly watching it. But comments coming from India also are something which have been taken note, including the army chief's comment, who said that we cannot leave the bandwagon. But India's official policy remains that it's an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled peace process. That should be the process.
And earlier, we spoke to former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan, Vivek Karju, and strategic affairs expert from Kabul, Najib Sharif. Take a listen into their perspectives. Let's begin by speaking to you, Ambassador Karju, first about the context in which these statements come, the timing of those remarks being made by the Taliban, also specifically talking about and ruling out the involvement of any third party in the negotiations which are currently taking place with the United States.
I think the context is clear. It is the ongoing discussions between the Americans and the Taliban. As far as India is concerned, some of the comments made by the Taliban spokesman are welcome, but they cannot be taken on their face value. For example, I think particularly welcome is his assurance that they will not disturb the Chabahar route, because truly the Chabahar route is in Afghanistan's interests. But two things are clear. One, that the Taliban are not entirely independent. I think they don't want to be completely under the control of Pakistan, but their connection with Pakistan is very deep, and the influence that Pakistan has on the Taliban cannot be denied. Second, as far as their approach to the minorities is concerned, I think it was good that your correspondent recalled the almost Nazi-like attitude which the Taliban had towards minorities, especially the Hindus and Sikhs. If you recollect, it was only the Nazis who had required that the Jews should wear the Star of David. And recalling that, the Taliban wanted Hindus and Sikhs to wear a yellow cloth so that they could be distinguished. This was completely racist and unacceptable. Now, have the Taliban really evolved to such an extent that they will ensure complete equality for Hindus and Sikhs and other minorities of Afghanistan who have been part of the Afghan landscape for centuries, for millennia? So these things can't be taken at face value. My last point is that I have always advocated for the last 2 years that India should open direct conversations with the Taliban because everyone else is talking to them and we should not be out of the diplomatic game. At the same time, we should emphasize that we do not accept the Taliban's rigid orthodox ideology, which is truly not part of the modern world.
All right, Najib Sharifi, if I can ask you to comment on what you make of the remarks that have been made by the Taliban in that exclusive conversation.
They will obviously at this stage make comments that are appealing and that portrays them more of as a political group or a political entity rather than insurgent group. But can we take it as face value? No, because we have a history. They were making the same sorts of comments before taking over power in Kabul in 1996. But when they took over power, what happened was completely different from the comments that they were making. And secondly, it's at this stage of negotiations, they make their best attempts to create peace in the minds of neighboring countries or regional countries, particularly countries with whom the relations of Taliban has not been that friendly, a country like India. So I was expecting that they would make such a statement, but I will not trust it fully.